Thanks very much. Great to be back here at Wild Digital, and we're going to move from properties to the second biggest purchase in most people's lives and talk about cars and the car industry and how we see digital starting to transform the way that the car industry operates across Southeast Asia and the things we're doing at iCar Asia in order to be the partner to that digital transformation. So quick background about iCar Asia. We were formed in 2012 when we listed on the Australian Securities Exchange in order to get the capital together to enter our first two markets and acquire two early-stage marketplace businesses there. So here in Malaysia and also in Indonesia. Since then, we've expanded into Thailand, also into content, and we now run the largest and most trusted automotive portals across the whole of the Southeast Asian region. We focus on three markets, and we do that because they're the largest automotive markets here in Southeast Asia. How large are they? Well, over 2 billion Australian dollars is spent on new car advertising in these three markets alone. We see the first stages of digital adoption there with about 16% of what they spend already coming to online. But that's also expected to grow to be about $1 billion over the course of the next 5 years. And that's also reflective of the volumes of cars that are transacted in these three countries. So close to 6 million cars are bought and sold every year in just these three markets, making it almost double the size of a market like Australia, with quite a skew towards new cars as the car park in each of these markets continues to expand. And that's really due to the fact that car ownership penetration is still relatively low in all of the markets, might not get to all the way up to the penetration levels you see in a market like Australia, but there's great growth coming as more and more people start to be able to afford to move from the bike to a motorbike to then owning a car. And you saw a lot of these stats this morning, so won't touch on them, but one of the core drivers of better information going into the hands of people about what they can afford is the digital adoption that's already happening with our consumers. Almost 500 million will be online by 2020. The internet economy will be worth over $200 billion by 2025. And I think we need to update some of these statistics because I think there's more than 13 billion that's already come into these markets based on what Dinesh or Patrick said this morning. But one very interesting factor that we look at also, particularly related to the automotive industry, is the Belt and Road Initiative. Our fabulous chairman mentioned it earlier, but the infrastructure investment that's coming into the three markets we operate in, whether that's rail or roads or ports, is really opening up opportunities for automotive brands to expand. It's creating jobs that we feel will drive further purchase of cars as well. And you see also different brands starting to take Southeast Asia more seriously, particularly Chinese automotive brands. There's great examples of around the world where you see now Chinese automotive brands starting to enter into acquiring or investing in traditional Western car brands. Here's a very hard to read infographic about all of them that are occurring. So that's the Western car brands on the left side, and across the bottom, all of the major Chinese automotive brands, some of which you probably haven't heard of. Two that are very close to our home, the Geely Group, which now owns 100% of the Volvo brand, and now owns almost half of the third largest automotive brand, Proton, here in Malaysia. That happened almost 12 to 18 months ago. With that has brought a change in management, it's brought a change in attitude, and the kind of conversations we're having now with the Proton management are very different to 2 years ago when I first joined the business. They bring with them the scale of operations and a real digital attitude to customer management that is changing the way that Proton will be approaching their retail and customer management strategies moving forward. Another major one is the joint venture that you see here between SAIC, which is the Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation, Whirling, and General Motors. They have invested heavily into entering Indonesia. They've put $1 billion into a manufacturing plant just outside of Jakarta, launched already with 40 new retail stores, and they bring with them a wealth of experience of selling hundreds of thousands of cars in China. So to just give you an idea of their scale, there's about 600,000 new cars sold every year across all brands here in Malaysia. Last year, Whirling sold 600,000 cars in China. So they're bringing with them a new attitude, starting from scratch also, to how they approach customer management, the retail experience. the services experience, all with a long-term view of how are they going to establish their brand and establish a great long-term digital relationship with their customers. It's not just Chinese brands though. We see a real shift in the way all brands are starting to think about digital, or Western brands as well. A great example of that is Mercedes. Mercedes, in a lot of their countries and coming soon to Southeast Asia, have really adopted digital as the main way of interacting with the customers as they move through the whole flow of deciding which is the right car for them, the ownership phase of that, and then when it comes to selling the car again. So it starts outside of the showroom with their engagement through digital channels. It's backed up in the showroom with a great digital experience. They're then in your car with the Mercedes Me program, telling you how you're driving, when you should get your next service, what the value of your car is and how that's changing over time. So at the point when you think you want to sell your car, they're directing you back into that Mercedes dealership to put that car into their pre-owned program and to deliver you into buying your next Mercedes-Benz, all with a view that this is a long-term digital relationship. They want you to be with their brand for life. So with all of that has come the changing expectations of how you should work within the value chain as an automotive brand. And there's a great study by McKinsey that talks about the 3 Ds of disruption in the automotive space. That's disintermediation, disaggregation, and dematerialization. And the first two are particularly interesting to a business like ours. Disintermediation really points to different types of ways of interacting with customers, whether that's in the selling process and how you manage your retail dealer network, all the way to the experience in the car itself, all pointing to that view of this should be a long-term digital relationship that I have with my customer. Disaggregation, we've talked a lot in the past about mobility and how that's being broken into more consumable chunks. Very interesting to see the influence that that's also having already on car purchasing. Secondary income to a whole new set of drivers who might have been on a bike or a motorbike now have the opportunity to buy cars. And we're seeing that influence increases in car ownership already in these markets. And dematerialization, well, very interesting, but we won't focus on that. And really, that's also reflective of McKinsey's view of where they feel the first 2 factors will drive the biggest shift in value in the way the automotive industry is run. So particularly interest to us, a digital marketplace style business, is disintermediation. How can we be the digital partner to all different stages of the automotive journey and allow automotive brands and dealers and players in the market to really tap into the new customer, the new digital customer? And that really starts for us with understanding what the key customer flows are and what is the value chain that is actually operating in the automotive industry. If you're a customer buying a car, largely you'll follow this type of customer flow. Move through an orientation phase of deciding what's the right car for you, what brands do I consider, getting into a marketplace and comparing those brands, reaffirming your decision by doing extra research or maybe having a physical interaction with a car. That should be a test drive, really. And then moving into a transaction and off into the ownership phase. It's then also understanding the seller that follows a relatively similar pattern. Great information about how they should set up their company. Once they have that information, where they should source the cars they are wanting to sell, how they should advertise those in a marketplace, and then successfully connect with buyers in order to drive them into their sales experience. Once in that sales experience, how do they efficiently convert them into a transaction? And once they've bought a car, how do I turn that into a long-term relationship by providing great service through the ownership phase? As a business, we've been very much focused in this area. As I said, we're a marketplace. We've stretched into content. So that has been the focus for the business. And we see already the adoption of consumers across our markets. When I joined the business 2 years ago, we had roughly 6 million unique visitors every month coming to our platform. We now have 12 million, and that grew by over 50% last year. It's a very engaged audience. Back in 2016, we had about 600,000 leads going to the small businesses that work with us. Now that's at over 1 million. And we have now over 10,000 small businesses that work with us across the 3 markets that we're in. Very engaged set of businesses putting over 450,000 advertisements to try and attract those car buyers. But that's really been the beginnings of the business, and what we recognize is that with this set of digital assets, with the brand recognition, with 12 million UVs, with a huge network of businesses already connected to us through our marketplace, we can do more to be the digital partner to the automotive industry as they look to transform their own businesses. I wanted to finish by giving you 3 examples of the things that we're focused on right now of rolling out in all of our markets to take a step forward in that digital partnership. The first is right at the beginning of the sellers' ideas about how they should set up their business, and really has been a long process for us around re-platforming our businesses. Last year, we moved all of our marketplace businesses onto a single technology platform, and in the back end of doing that, really restructured all of our databases so we can now bring back to all of our customers better data insights from the over 5.5 years that iCar Asia has been working across Southeast Asia. So that has led to the launch in all of our markets of a new product called iCar Data that aims to take all of the data that we can record on an individual's journey through our site, whether that's their search behavior, any ways that we drive different types of conversion related to the price, for example. All of these things wrapped into a data product that can be queried by a buyer who's looking to understand whether this is the right car for them, to a car dealer who wants to know about sourcing, all the way up to a manufacturer who needs to optimize their approach to rolling out their retail network. So just quick examples of that. This is the color gray. Very important if you're in the automotive industry. And maybe I should explain that, but if you're a car dealer in a particular location, the inventory cost is one of the main costs that you have in running your business. So you really want to know, with the class of car that I have, what should be the mix of colors that I buy and keep in my dealership in order to reduce the inventory costs of running my business. And if you're in Thailand, gray is an important color, but not as important as it turns out as white or black. But all of these are the types of data insights that we can put in the hands of car dealers to help them make the right decisions about what inventory they should be using. And it's not only that, it's every aspect of where that demand data is coming from. So if, for example, you're stocking Range Rover Evoques, you need to know that the main demand for that is coming from, it's hard to see, but it's coming from the west coast of Peninsular Malaysia, or for some reason out in the east coast of Sabah. Very, very difficult to see that. But very important if you're managing a retail network of Range Rover dealers to understand how you should shift different inventory around your retail network in order to optimize how they're being sold to your customers. And then when it comes to actually advertising, great advice can be given to the car dealer in the moment that they're actually crafting their advertisement. One of the key things is definitely price, and we're able to advise individual car dealers about the exact right price you should put your Range Rover Evoque in the west coast of Malaysia in the color gray in order to get that to be a fast-moving part of your inventory. This particular Evoque is priced very correctly. It happens to be my car, and it's for sale, so if you'd like to see me afterwards, happy to negotiate a great price, although that is already a great price. So, all of these things we're wrapping into a great data product. We can give you demand insights, we can produce market reports to your salespeople, we can tell a finance or insurance company the expected depreciation and residual value of a particular car that they're about to originate a policy on, and we can advise individuals about the average price that they should be selling. So that's the first one that we're looking at. Often talked about when marketplaces stand up in conferences is how we should be moving forward in the customer flow towards the transaction to unlock the value there. So that's exactly what we're doing, particularly in the new car space. So we've partnered with manufacturers across all of our regions to get a great photography, all the specifications about the actual new cars for sale in these markets, and put that into a whole new digital experience that allows people to realize they're in a new car experience in the new car showroom, and help them move fast through that orientation phase to find the right dealer and car for them. And to help you along that way is a chatbot that we introduced last year as AI enabled in order to help you make the right decision and then deliver you to the dealer as a qualified lead. And by doing that, we're able to track the transaction, track the conversion of that particular lead. And that opens up a lot of opportunities for us to further monetize and provide great services to the car buyer. So that's things like finance, insurance, new products like warranty, but also offer that car buyer the opportunity and a different opportunity about how they want to trade in their car. And that's really the last area that we're looking at the value chain right now, taking a step back, particularly for used car dealers, to give them a new opportunity of how they want to source their cars. We've always had, for private sellers, the way to sell your car. You can do it yourself. We can help you do it for you with campaigns like our concierge service here. But this is a whole new way that we're introducing to sell cars to our dealer network. And we feel we're in a great position to do this. 12 million users, thousands of private cars are already listed on our marketplace, and we aim to turn those assets into a great new service of selling their cars to the over 10,000 small businesses that are already connected with us. So that's our 3 short priorities. And really, it's all about understanding that value chain and the influence that digital is going to have on it. And it's our aim to be that partner to the digital transformation in the automotive industry in Southeast Asia. Thanks.